Today I thought I'd go over the different shells I use for different conditions and different activities. Little return to form over some a little more serious. Looks like how to speak like a guy from the Northeast and use lots of hand motions driving. Not quite as popular. So I thought I'd go back to some little more old-fashioned gear reviews, or at least an overlook. It's not really much of a gear review. Now, I do always talk about gear as tools because I believe different tools work for different jobs. If I'm going to go ski touring, I'm going to use a much different, say, windbreaker than a heavy shell. If I'm doing on-trail or tundra, I'm going to use a very light shell. If I find I'm in consistent cold rain and definitely some bushwhacking, it's a different type of shells. I might mix and match as appropriate. I've been very lucky enough over the years where I can do different things and have the different gear and clothing to go with it. So my toolkit is relatively large. I realize that doesn't work for everyone. So I also look at some things I think work as a quiver of one, kind of an all-purpose type of jacket or pants. Won't work for every condition optimally, but it'll work for 90% of what you're doing out there, as well as how I personally fine-tune it. So no further ado, let's start with the jackets that I wear for different activities. So as mentioned, we're going to start with the jackets. Being out on the Intermountain West, I almost always not wear rain pants quite often, but I am wearing jackets quite a bit. Be it for wind protection as much as rain protection. I find the jackets I need don't have to resist a lot of constant rain, say back in New England or Pacific Northwest. And it's just as much, it keeps them warm them sometimes, especially when it gets more sleety or some drizzle with some wind. So the jackets I tend to like tend to be very breathable, water resistant, waterproof, but not as high water resistance as say it's a thicker shell, and something that can stuff very easily in my packs. I do tend to pack light. The jacket that I use most of the time for my backpacking is this Montbell Versalite. As you expect from the name, Versalite, it's on the very light side. It weighs just a bit over 6 ounces for men's large. It has pit zips, which also adds to the breathability. It's essentially a step up from a wind shirt. It has somewhat of a floppy brim, but I wear a wide-brimmed hat anyway. And it's generous enough to fit over a fleece. I've used this all through the Great Divide Trail in Canada when it was very wet during its monsoon season. It kept out the rain even when it was cold, and it can resist, and I do emphasize, moderate bushwhacking. I wouldn't want to use it for hardcore bushwhacking, but out here in the West, it's a lot more open. There's not as much hardcore bushwhacking. I'd be hesitant though to rub it against trees and certainly rocks and scrambling all day. But for tundra and generally wide open spaces, and certainly for on-trail, it's a great jacket. A little inexpensive to have $200, but I've had it now going on 3 seasons, use it all the time. It's a great jacket, and if you have the money and have a need for this type of jacket, I strongly recommend it. Now, the next jacket in my lineup, one I always keep stashed in my day pack, is the Montbell Trekker. This one is 10 ounces, so still pretty light for an all-purpose jacket. More water resistant per the specs on the Montbell website than the Versalite, but not quite as breathable. I use this a lot, again, for off-trail or just to have stash emergency. Definitely it's more consistent rain. Definitely it's consistent and cold rain. Has a little bit of a stiffer brim here. Still has the pit zips, which I absolutely love. It is a bit thicker. And it's just typical Montbell quality, meaning well-constructed, sharp-looking as far as aesthetics goes, but also not a lot of detail that adds weight. It's just functions, beauty is Montbell's motto, and I happen to believe that about Montbell products. I've been using it on my own since 2006, and they were nice enough to let me try these a few years ago, and the fact I'm still using it as my mainstay jacket says a lot. If I had to get what I call a quiver of one, I would get something in this class. Both these jackets use kind of the house brand Gore-Tex more or less. This is a 3-layer jacket if I remember correctly, so again keeps out the water a lot more, and it's just a great jacket and one I always keep on me when day hiking, and if I'm going to do backpacking in the cold consistent rain. I have planned an extended trek in New England this fall. COVID changed that, of course. This is what I would have taken if I had done this into later fall in New England for sure. Now, not everyone can afford $150 or $200 for a rain jacket, and I realize that. This, of course, is the mainstay for hikers on a budget, hiking on trail. A little duct tape has fixed this more than once. The ultralight Frogg Toggs, formerly known as dry ducks. Runs very large, so it's good for layering. It weighs 6 ounces for a men's large, only 20 bucks with the pants. A little more on that in a bit. And it's just a mainstay. I wouldn't use it more than Tundra, and it's certainly not real off-trail, so no bushwhacking with this. But if you're on trail with the occasional use of Rein, or don't mind having 3 or 4 jackets that you're going to replace with, this is not a bad way to go. I used it for many, many years. I keep one stashed in the car as an emergency. Still have it. It's just a decent jacket for its price. Surprisingly breathable, very waterproof. If you're on a budget and sticking to a trail especially, not a bad way to go. And I would still use it given the choice, or if need be. Having said that, what I use for winter use, and it's still a good budget jacket by the way, is what was a Campmore branded Red Ledge jacket. They still more or less make it by Red Ledge. It's called a Free Rein Parka. It's more of a winter jacket, has this very stiff rim here, has some deeper pockets, has the pit zips which I really like, really deep pit zips, like that. I keep it oversized, so it can fit over a puffy in camp. I don't use it too much, as I said, outside of winter, mainly on camp. But if you're on a budget and want an all-purpose rain jacket, this is not a bad way to go. The Red Ledge still makes it, again called a Free Rein. It's anywhere from $60 to $80. I just checked online fairly recently, and some colors and sizes are as little as 60 bucks. It's 12 ounces for a men's large. Not the lightest jacket, but certainly not the heaviest. It's waterproof and breathable. Like any waterproof breathable, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's usually highly water resistant, not as breathable. That's the case with all rain gear. Again, I can't say good enough things about this if you're on a budget, or if you're like me, just need an occasional oversized shell to put on a puffy while winter backpacking in the snow. This is a good one to go too. Now, as I said, I do not use wind shirts at all, actually. My Montbell Versalite works for that, but during the winter, when ski touring, I absolutely use a windbreaker. And this is an anorak windbreaker. Very simple, oversized, has the old school kangaroo pocket that I like to keep my balaclava in, some heavier mittens. It works like a chimney almost, so the air goes out very easily, goes over quickly, and it's good for the dry, fluffy snow. The difference between a windbreaker and a wind shirt is, well, this is 30 bucks as opposed to 70, 80, 90 or more. It's a little heavier fabric. This does weigh 9 ounces, which is on the heavy side, but I tend to wear it all the time during winter, unless I'm in the trees anyway. And if I do tree skiing, it's thick enough where it's not going to get ripped super easily. Folds down pretty easily. And the difference between this and a windbreaker, besides the price, is the fabric. It is a bit thicker, a little more durable. Just as an old school anorak, it's only 30 bucks. I've used this thing for years, and you probably won't get rid of it. Other people started using it. I learned to start using this from a site called wintertrekking.com. A bunch of gentlemen out in Canada who spend a heck of a lot more time than me in very deep cold weather, and they swear by this. And I gotta say, put this over a fleece, just a 100-weight fleece. It works extremely well, even down to -10 while moving. I can't say enough good things about it, especially for the price. So if you're going to do some winter backpacking in the snow, consider getting one of these, and it works beautifully. Now, as I mentioned, the Frogg Toggs are only 20 bucks with a jacket and pants. The jacket's okay, even good on trail or in tundra areas off trail. I would not trust the pants or anything except an emergency in the car, as I have. I would just discard except for that emergency stash, which is a good segue to go into the pants that I use when backpacking. Now, out here in the Intermountain West, I find I don't need true rain pants too often, even in winter. It's generally dry. Even in the deep winter, the snow tends to be a fluffy snow that goes off the pants pretty easily. So I'm very fortunate this way. The only time I wear true rain pants is if I'm in prolonged cold and wet, well, wet's kind of redundant, but cold rain, or if I'm in a group activity where I'm hanging around camp more, like last year, I was guiding up in Yosemite. And if I was, say, in the Pacific Northwest, or my native New England, I want some real rain pants as well, especially gets towards fall. But out here in the West, I find wind pants work pretty much all the time for me. Having said that, these pants right here are kind of infamous in the ultralight backpacking world. Worn them for about a decade now, these very pants, and they're still holding on. They're the Dancing Light Dance Pants, warm-up pants. You can get them on Amazon for 18 bucks. They're ripstop nylon. They weigh 3.5 ounces compared to more expensive wind pants, which weigh 3 ounces and much more money. It's quite the bargain. It's good enough for the drizzle, even some light snow. They have a little bit of a more athletic type of fit. They're unisex, but they work well enough. And I swear by them. I've used them 90% of the time when we're backpacking. And I've only regretted it once when I wore them on the Great Divide Trail in Canada. It was this cold, wet rain. I'm going through the willows, kind of miserable, even with some thermal underwear underneath. Other than that, I've used them all the time when backpacking. I will still use them. Occasionally I'll throw them in my day pack too. I wear long pants a lot now, but they are big enough to fit over some long pants and thermals quite nicely. But again, if it's consistent cold and wet rain, especially with bushwhacking, they're not as good. They're more water resistant than waterproof, but otherwise they work well, and they're surprisingly warm when worn over thermals. So again, 18 bucks, 3.5 ounces, ripstop nylon, so fairly durable, and they're an amazing bang for your buck piece of gear. Speaking of real rain pants, because of that Great Divide trip in Canada, I vowed to get some real rain pants, and I'm glad I did. This is yet another Montbell special. The difference is these pants aren't sold in the US. They're the Trekker pants. Pretty much the equivalent of the Trekker rain jacket I showed a little bit earlier. They were under $100 or about $100 with shipping, with the yen to the dollar ratio when I bought them a couple of years ago or so. Unfortunately, as of this filming in August 2020, because of COVID, they're not shipping from Japan, at least when I last checked. But if they do start shipping again, it's not a bad way to go, not just for these rain pants, but for any of the Montbell products. Some are a little different than US counterparts. They may not have pit zips in the case of the Versalite, but still worth checking out. But anyway, these are the equivalent of the Trekker pants. Very durable, resist a lot of rain. Not super breathable, but I find that compared to the Versalite, but I find I don't need as much breathability in my legs. They do have these, and again, for what I use them for, they're great with the cold weather. The legs zip up, so I can get them over my shoes very easily, as opposed to the wind pants there. And I find they resist the cold, wet rain very well. Very simple pants. Have a drawstring and a zipper. Just a good all-around outdoor rain pants. Again, roughly $100, slightly less. Shipped from Japan directly. Can't get them on the Montbell US website. If you're looking for a budget version of these pants, again, Red Ledge makes something very similar. Quality's not quite as high, but pretty good bang for your buck. Now you may say, why not the Versalite pants, which are sold in the US? I love the Versalite jacket, but as I said, it is a little more on the delicate side. I find for the top, it's not quite as bad. My pants, whether it's hiking pants or rain pants, take a beating. The Frogg Toggs are strictly for emergency, but that's 20 bucks with a jacket and pants. The Versalite pants are considerably more expensive, not something I'm willing to take a chance on getting ripped. So either if you're on a budget and absolutely want some real rain pants, get the Red Ledge if you want, or as I said, these are excellent Montbell quality and a little more expensive, but I always say about Montbell products, for their price, they're very competitive with such high-ender gear as Patagonia, etc. So the Montbell Trekker pants, excellent. Oh, as I look at the size here, another thing with the gear from Japan, size up. I wear roughly a men's large, like things a little baggy, and depending what kind of office job I'm working, tend to expand more or not. An XL is about a men's large. Japanese XL is about a men's large here in the US. Finally, for winter, at least with snow, I should say. Remember, I am out here in the Intermountain West. When I went ski tours, it was primarily Colorado or the Abajos or La Salles here in Utah. I actually prefer, they're called wind pants, they're called track pants, warm-up pants, your typical discount store pants. You know the type. Has a nylon or polyester shell, goes over very easily. You might have seen them on the track, or if you watch certain stereotypical shows, guys with gold chains and a muscle shirt, going AO, like my last video. But in any case, they're inexpensive. They have these nice little zips to put over your shoes, and I like it because it's a little more durable than wind pants, a little baggier fit, and they work really nicely to keep off the fluffy snow. What I really like about these is indeed the mesh liner, because there's some high-end mesh wool underwear out there that supposedly makes a layer of warmth and helps keep the moisture away as well. Gotta say, it works. I've loved these for ski touring. It has just enough warmth and makes it more breathable. And you can get these 20 bucks at a Dick's Sporting Goods, Target, Walmart, what have you. This is the Champion branded, so I'm pretty sure I bought it at Target. Just another great bang for the buck. I always keep it in my car camping kit when we go, just to put over the shorts to keep some warmth in. But I really love these for winter backpacking. So again, just different tools for different jobs. Some a little more expensive than others, but sometimes you gotta have the better tool for the job depending. Sometimes it's the cheapest tool, sometimes it's the most expensive. Moving along, we need to talk about shells for the hands. We always seem to focus on the top and the bottom, because of course we have to, but a lot of times we ignore the hands. I believe in having a modular setup for my hands as well, so I have different types of shell mitts or gloves depending what I'm doing. The base are these Army liner gloves, roughly 1.5 ounces for the pair, anywhere from $5 to $10 for a pair. You can get them at surplus stores, obviously, online or not. Come in the cool olive drab green or black or blue or gray. I tend to buy in bulk at my favorite outdoor store when I get there, Jackson Fort Collins, and I've been using these for years and they work really well. But I decided I pair them with shell. A lot of times I wear them by themselves. It's cool weather, even in winter when I'm skiing or just outside. Even moderate drizzle work pretty well for me. If it gets cold or rain, and certainly snow, I will wear them with shells. I will start with the budget option that I keep in my day pack, in the car, etc. These are Tusco chore gloves, or dishwashing gloves, you might hear them also called. $7. They're slightly less than 2 ounces for an extra large, and I do like it on the large side to fit over my glove here. And they keep out the rain. You might sweat a little bit, but that's okay when it's cold out. It's just a great budget option. As you can see, it's fit over quite nicely. Voila. Now you may say to yourself, Paul, I've seen other people talk about these Japanese fishing gloves. Some people swear by them, but these are more for emergency use for me. I personally do not like gloves when I'm concentrating more and keep my hands warm. A mitten is going to keep you warmer than a glove, and I find if I'm getting to the point where I need an extra shell, I'm also concerned about warmth. So I find, even though eventually the mittens do wet out, no matter how waterproof and breathable they are, I find I just don't do well with gloves. As I said, these are more for an emergency, my day pack, or certainly the back of my car, and it works well for that. But if I want something a little more warm, I want mittens. Frankly, I wish they sold these in mitten form, and they would be great. They don't sell them that way, so I make do. What I use as of now, again, these eventually do wet out, and you can try revitalizing with some Nick Wax type wash, but it doesn't work very well, I find. These are by Decathlon, the European company that sells lots of direct-to-consumer outdoor goods, varying from to actually pretty good. I would put these in the pretty good category. They're waterproof, breathable. I don't know the specs. I don't list them on their website either. They're $17. Unfortunately, I don't sell them anymore. But they're very light, 1.5 ounces per the scale, and they fold up quite nicely. And this is what I use for backpacking all the time. Just simple, well designed. They're called the 500 over mitts, and I wish they still sell them, but they do not. Maybe they'll come back in the winter. But they work pretty well, and again, they provide more warmth, they cut down the wind, and I realize they're going to wet out eventually, in which case I'll find another item. One thing I used for a while was the Border Gear E-Vent mitts. Very similar to these, not quite as gauntlet-like, but $30. Not too bad of a price. They lasted for a while for me. Again, they did wet out eventually and had to get rid of them. But I assume that with any rain mitts. Now for winter, or I should say ski tours, and I apologize for my German pronunciation, Garista, or Hestra, I should say. You get what you get. And in any case, these are $65, a little on the pricey side compared to some budget options. but these I tend to use for ski tours and handling an ice axe once in a great while, etc. It has a reinforced palm, very, very thicker fabric because you're handling ski edges and things like that. They do fit over my liner gloves I showed earlier, and I do have a thicker fleece or wool mitt I like to use when skiing if I need some extra warmth. So these are sized particularly large so I can fit my wool liner, my middle insulation layer, and these. I am super toasty warm, especially when it's more like nasty type of snow as opposed to fluffy snow, and they work really well. I've had these for a few years. Well worth it if you're going to do any kind of skiing or use any kind of ice axe or similar. You lose dexterity with mittens, but by being oversized, I find I have just enough to do certain things, and if I need to take, say, a photo, the liner glove is just enough. So that's what I tend to use. My ideal over mitt would be this dishwashing glove material, and with a mitten form, I'd be very happy. If you look up rubber mittens, you might get some different results than you want to see, so don't do it at work. Trust me on that one. So the final shell-like item I use are long gaiters. Again, this is for ski tours. These are somewhat hard to find. They're made by Log House Designs for Cantmore. Sometimes Cantmore sells it, sometimes they don't. But Log House Designs is a little company out of New Hampshire, and I'll link the company in my article description, or sorry, video description. But I've used some form of these gaiters 20 years now. This is my latest pair. They last a long time. Don't know what magic material they make them out of, other than the Gore-Tex Lemonade, but they actually work. They're breathable, probably because the legs I find you don't pump out quite as much heat, especially in the shin area, versus your torso. But in any case, they actually do keep out the snow. I tend to wear cross-country ski pants, which are actually running pants. I bought at Target for a lot less money, but think of very light soft shell type pants you might see. So when there's deeper snow, I do want to wear gaiters. I come up to my knee with my boots over here, which look like old school hiking boots, but they're actually cross-country ski boots for Nordic ski touring. Go up like so. And I've had these for years, and the boots for years, and it works really well. I don't use gaiters when hiking, but I certainly like them when I'm doing ski tours. And these were only 25 bucks for a pair. And that was a few years back. I guess adjusted for inflation, they'd be only $35. I'm not sure if they stopped selling to Cantmore, if they only sell them at the store themselves. I don't know, but it's worth checking out the website just because I think they are such a great design. They're the Log House design, easy gaiters too, the Gore-Tex Lemonade. Small company out of New Hampshire, just great design, and I think they work extremely well for Nordic ski tours. And if you're lucky enough to get a pair if you're in New Hampshire, buy two, because I know eventually these are going to wear out, and I wish I had another pair. That's how much I like them. These, by the way, weigh about 7 ounces, but they're my legs all day, so I'm not as too concerned. But I know there's enough gram weenies out there for winter stuff. You want to keep track of that. So this is what I use for winter ski tours with gaiters. So that's my quick overlook at the different shell options I use for my top, my bottom, and my hands. I truly believe that gear is a tool. Certain tools work better for other conditions and activities. It's not always the lightest, although sometimes it is, and it's not always expensive, so sometimes it is, but it's what is going to work best for me, my conditions, and what I'm doing. If I was on a budget and need to have a quiver of one, I don't think you can go too wrong with the Red Ledge brand. So I've been using their Cantmore branded free rain jacket. Cantmore doesn't sell anymore, but Red Ledge still does. That's a pretty good all-purpose quiver of one jacket. 12 ounces, 60, 70 bucks depending on the color. Pretty good. From the Intermountain West, I've had really good luck with the dance pants. But again, if you're looking for a little more all-purpose, look for the Thunderlight or the Free Rain pants. Thunderlight is a little bit lighter. Free Rain's a little more heavy-duty depending what you're doing, how much hiking versus camp time you're doing. My go-to 90% of the time, having said that, is the Montbell Versalite, which I absolutely love. A little over 6 ounces, very, very breathable, fairly to highly water resistant per the specs. Handles most of the conditions I'm in, including some very light bushwhacking. Combine that with my Dancing Light pants, again for the Intermountain West, and it's mainly dry conditions, and I have my go-to outfit that weighs sub 10 ounces, handles most conditions I'm in. If I was to do a little more bushwhacking and certainly more consistent cold rain, I personally would get the Montbell Trekker at 10 ounces, combined with my Trekker rain pants at 7 ounces. So for 17 ounces and $250, which isn't too bad considering how much you use it and how long you have it for, as a kind of the middle of the road deluxe version versus the Red Ledge. If you're absolutely on a budget, again, the Frogg Toggs rain jacket, I used it for years, works well enough for trail and no bushwhacking whatsoever, just off trail, and combine it with probably some cheaper rain pants from Red Ledge, and I think you'll be good to go. Do not use the Frogg Toggs pants. They are garbage, best for emergency use only. So I hope you like that overview of the different shells. I don't claim it's the best options, but they are the best options for me in my uses over the years.